Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the UNEP and the TERI School of Advanced Studies, I welcome all of you to the webinar on Behavioral Change in Campuses for Sustainability, a UNEP's LBGN initiative. We would like to express our gratitude to the Chief of UNEP's Youth Education Alliance program, Mr. Sam Barrett, and his team for supporting this initiative. The United Nations Environment Programme launched the Little Book of Green Nudges, which aims to inspire up to 200 million students around the globe to adopt environmentally friendly habits and greener lifestyles. It was designed with experts at the Behavioural Insights Team, who are leading experts on this agenda in consultation with key institutions who have already taken steps on this agenda. It's a no-brainer that humans are primarily responsible for the climate change and its impacts, especially after it has been established by the IPCC 6th Assessment Report released last year. With the largest youth population and over 1,000 universities and 40,000 plus colleges, the higher education institutions in India can certainly be the focal points for driving the much needed behavioral change to realize the Sustainable Development Goals. We are pleased to have amongst us Ms. Noemi, who is the Youth and Education Officer, UNEP. Noemi focuses on formal education initiatives, including the development of financing schemes for higher education institutions and the coordination of university networks in Africa. She also supports work around the Little Book of Green Nudges and Green Jobs. It's indeed an honor for us to have her amongst us today. I would like to invite Noemi to deliver, to present or introduce the Little Book of Green Nudges. Over to you, Noemi.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for being online for this very interesting webinar on behavioral change. So I'm glad to present you today more about the Little Book of Green Nudges. I'm just going to share my screen right now. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So the Little Book of Green Nudges is a booklet that was launched at the World Academic Summit in 2020. It's comprised of 40 nudges to spark sustainable behavior on campus for students and staff. And it goes across several behavioral categories. So it's a very simple guidance on how to implement and evaluate behavioral interventions. So it was done in partnership with Goal for SDGs from UNEP, the Behavioural Insights Team, Grid Arundel, and the Youth Education Alliance. It's been translated so far in English, Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, and soon in French as well. So we would highly acknowledge your support, also for it to broaden the reach of it and be translated in Hindi. I think that would be a great step forward. And nudging, so I'll detail more of the video upcoming that comes from CNN that was produced in 2021, has big potential to make the universities and the societies greener. So we have no time to waste, and I'll show you this video straight away to give you ideas on how to implement the nudging. Sorry. Let me go to that straight away. I hope you can still see my screen.
Tweaks to yes. Richard called these better decisions nudges.
Just checking. Can you hear the sound correctly?
Yes, yes, we can.
Great.
Slight tweaks to our options that promote positive choices without being too pushy. Redesigning a cafeteria, let's say, to make fruit and vegetables more prominent can prompt diners towards healthier meals, but not force them.
Just these simple things. They're simple, they're cost effective, and they lead people in the right direction.
That's why the United Nations Environment Program didn't just publish 40 sustainable nudges, but disperse them to universities, places where this small book might have the biggest impact.
There's 250 million higher education students globally. So one of the reasons why the Little Book of Green Nudges is so powerful is that it connects with students at a time when many of them are drastically changing their habits.
Before publishing last year, the UN worked with behavioral specialists and studied 46 campuses with nudges already in place, like the Kedge Business School in Marseille.
We started implementing our first nudges about 5 years ago. What we learned is that a little nudging takes people a long way.
Kedge started small, with little signs and brighter recycling bins. But soon, they looked towards an even tinier source of problems.
One cigarette butt pollutes about 500 liters of water every year. There were regular ashtrays, but people would still stomp out their cigarette butts on the floor.
So they gave the ashtrays a makeover.
They're brightly yellow, so you can't miss them.
And positioned them better.
In strategic areas where people go for smoking.
But most importantly, they started asking questions.
People drop their cigarette in the area that corresponds to their answer. Making it fun has really made a difference.
Really?
We collect every year 200,000 cigarette butts, both on our Marseille campus and our Bordeaux campus. Those butts get properly recycled, and that allows us to preserve the equivalent of 40 Olympic-sized swimming pools in fresh water.
The school also increased composting when campus was fully open pre-COVID by nudging students to separate their cafeteria waste. Anya says this simple switch created 1.8 metric tons of compost a year, which went directly back into the gardens.
Sometimes it's difficult for people to play their active role because it's inconvenient, or it's not at the right time, it's not at the right place. So more it's fun and more it's easy to act sustainably, people will act.
Right now, nearly 120 universities across the world are piloting the UN's Green Nudges. And if these students personally pick up sustainable habits, imagine the impacts that could have on the places they go on to work.
Okay, so thank you for listening. So I will share my screen again. So a little correction, now we have 136 pilots campuses worldwide who join the Little Book of Green Nudges initiative. And in 2021, we had a series of webinars that took place, giving the opportunity for organizations and universities to connect and to influence and inspire each other. And these webinars were around energy and water, food, travel, and other themes. And they summarize like all the simple actions that were undertaken. So as mentioned in the video, some universities had been implementing nudges before, but it gave them more ideas with the booklet, and some others were inspired directly from the booklet. So one of the challenges that the universities talked about was COVID-19, of course, because some campuses were actually closed, so it was difficult to implement the nudges. You can see below a few quotes from different partner universities, and what I find interesting is to remember that these simple actions can bring on great changes. So this graph afterwards just shows how the booklet has been useful for the different universities who have been participating in phase 1 of the project. So there was, amongst the elements that were really useful, there was the EAST framework. So the framework EAST is for easy, attractive, social, and timely to implement the nudges that really helped the universities, along with different case studies that is present in the booklets, as well as the different webinars and the networking with universities. So as I mentioned, these webinars took place in 2021. They're all available on the YouTube channel of the Little Book of Green Nudges. And as the quotes say below from the University of Agriculture in Pakistan, they've been learning a lot from these recordings, and it's made them able also to interact with the other universities implementing the nudges. So we are here for you if you want. So it's not too late, of course, to join this phase 1. We're here for you to support you in implementing the nudges and give you more information on it. I'll share the contact directly in the chat afterwards. And so what's next now for the phase 2 is that with the Little Book of Green Nudges phase 1, we really created a community of universities that are willing to bring change on campuses through behavioral interventions. And we are really wanting to showcase the evidence of change by getting some data and making sure that we showcase the impact. So we were thinking, this is still in the process of being thought about, of targeting universities in different regions. So they run pre-selected nudges so that we can have like a laboratory where we can see what is the impact on behavior change. So that would be great, because I think it would be having some impact on the behavioral science research. If it's led also by a PhD student, can be very interesting for their own research. It can enhance communication, what we've already been doing, but even more between universities worldwide. We would really like to have a platform to share all the success stories that have been undertaken by the universities that are part of this community. And we really think that could also help strengthen partnership between universities and private sector, to have universities show some private actors how they can implement the nudges. Also, on this note, the private sector has already been talking and implementing nudges also, because the IKEA Foundation was talking on a webinar, and they have implemented some nature plant-based food within IKEA. So this is a form of nudge also that can be very inspiring. And this plant meatball was less, was like 4% of climate footprint of the actual meatball. So this is a good product to keep in mind as well, and a good nudge potentially. So I'll stop here, but don't hesitate if you have any questions. I'll share my contacts, and thank you very much. And I will really looking forward to help the universities and organizations in India to bring this project forward and broaden the reach. And I'm sure there's already a lot you're doing, and I will be looking forward to learn more about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Noemi. I think that was really insightful. Very excited that Little Book of Green Nudges is going to come in Hindi. I think that would probably increase its reach even more in a country like India, where large number of students probably follow Hindi as a medium of instruction as well. So, and of course, you know, good to know about the impacts. So impacts are not just limited to within the university, but its impact even outside, co-learning between universities and in terms of leading to behavioral science research. These are definitely very, very inspiring outcomes of Little Book of Green Nudges. We have universities, you know, who have joined us today, and it's a good opportunity for the universities who have not yet signed up for the Little Book of Green Nudges. I have shared the website link in the chat box. You may go through it. We'll share our coordinates as well. You may reach out to us if you are interested in signing up. I think it's the best thing to do at this point in time. Thank you once again, Naomi. And now we will move on. So we do have universities in India also, and colleges in India who have been implementing Little Book of Green Nudges. We have a couple of brilliant examples in India, out of which we have invited 2 professors to present from University of Delhi to present their cases. So first, I would like to invite Professor Poonam Kumria from Miranda House, University of Delhi. She has received her degrees from University of Delhi and University of Oslo. She has actually been bestowed upon with several honors and awards. Her detailed bio, I will put it in the chat box in the interest of time. But she has been a very passionate, I would say, implementer when it came to Little Book of Green Nudges. Some beautiful results have come up in Miranda House, and I would like to invite Professor Poonam to share some of the outcomes. Over to you, Professor Poonam.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank TERI School of Advanced Studies, Fozia, UNEP Nudge, and Gayatri Raghava for inviting me to share our green actions of behavioral changes for sustainability in Miranda House as part of collaboration with UNEP's Little Book of Green Nudge initiative. I would like to share my screen if you permit me. Can I, Fozia?
Yes, you may please, ma'am.
This is, I will say that continuously is the success story. This is like we say that it's our initiative which we are doing. We all talk about climate change, environmental degradation, pollution, biodiversity loss, deforestation, overconsumption of natural resources, plastic pollution, and many other problems. The list is getting bigger and bigger each passing day. During the last 50 years, environmental issues have become increasingly important for people throughout the world as situation is getting worse day by day. So we have taken this initiative in collaboration with UNEP's Little Book of Green Nudge to try to find solution for the problems that we are facing and doing our bit and as part of green actions. This is just I'll say a slide which shows how we are taking or implementing our green nudges. We know that all of us talk about all these issues, but finding solution is really difficult. And we think that we are all basically living on the same planet where everything is integrated, whether we talk of problems or solutions or issues. We are all very well understand that protecting the environment is important because long-term consequences affect people's lives significantly. But there is a still dilemma of consumption and conservation. So basically, we are doing awareness campaigns because as we say that the COVID was a little problematic, but I feel that it was like a benefit for us that we have done a lot of digital campaigning, very intensive digital campaigning. And I would like to share with you that whenever I used to sit with the students, I just used to give them little idea, and they were so creative and they were so innovative in coming up with their actions, how we can implement this. So we have used digital space very well through our Insta page, as well as through WhatsApp and different groups, sharing different stories, infographics. And basically our survey was, we have done the consent survey based on the principles of ARC, where A stand for awareness, R for realization, and C for collaboration. We believe that Miranda students are aware about the environmental problems, and what they lack is the realization that they need to make changes in their behavior and contribute towards green action. So we conducted workshops, webinars, spread information through different social platforms so that we can add more and more people as part of our LBGN team, because it is when we are discussing things like changing behavior, it is not something that we have just done it. You need to do it continuously every day, because every day people are remind others that
will request non-speakers to please, ma'am, just a minute. We'll request all of you to please keep yourself on mute.
Basically, we are, because we have to see that every year we have new bunch of students, new group of people are here. So we want you to be, we want them to be also part of our LBGN team. So we were continuously doing these surveys, tracking behavioral changes, whatever initiative we are taking, whether people are liking it, they are part of it, or they find, if they find there are some differences or they don't like those ideas. So we try to look for the solution. So it's a very, in a very collaborative and participative manner. And we have also identified not only the issues, because everything is not there in Miranda House campus. So we identified certain issues, we identified certain goals that can be taken immediately, and certain goals that are long term. For example, if we are talking about water conservation, we had awareness programs, we had discussions on through webinars also. And what we realized that it's easier for us to right now put up notices and posters near the taps to stop wastage of water. And then in long terms, we have requested the administration to maybe install sensor taps in our campus so that there is a less wastage of water. So slowly we have introduced a lot of changes in our campus as part of our LBGN actions. So through that changes, I won't say that all the changes wasn't just in 2 years, because as I said that in Miranda House, we are pretty aware of environmental issues. But right now, if I take it as a changes that we are able to do in Miranda House campus is that we have totally banned single-use plastic in our canteens, in cafeterias. So we can call it a zero zone in terms of a single-use plastic. We are also able to introduce kulhar, as we know as the earthen clay cup in cafeteria. That has reduced the, because there is no plastic, so paper cups were used earlier. By the introduction of kulhar, we are able to reduce the consumption of paper cup by 60%. I was little worried whether everyone will welcome this this initiative, but I think everybody responded in a very positive manner, because when we take tea in a cooler, it increased the cost of tea. So this was little hesitation in us before introduction of cooler in the canteen, but I'm happy that we are able to do it. We do have a paper recycling plant, and what we have, not, I won't say that each and every paper is going into this recycling plant, but most of the paper is going to this recycling plant. And what we are doing, we are converting that paper after recycling into handmade paper, and we are making a products in terms of our bags, in terms of our folders, and we are selling these products to the in the community only. So we have a demand, and we are supplying using our recycling our paper and supplying the product to the college student. Whenever we have seminars or some parties or some guests are there, we give them these products as a souvenir. We also have a vermicompost plant in our campus, where we are composting all the vegetable wastage and food wastage or food leftovers from the hostel mess as well as cafeteria canteen. So this is also, I think, it's but what we are now trying to, which I'll also talk later, try to look into the zero food wastage in our canteen, because being a developing country, I think that from the plate also food should not go to the dustbin. And we are also doing a separate collection of waste in terms of a dry as well as wet. So these are the simple things which we are able to achieve in the past few years, especially in last 2 years, as part of a LBGN program in our campus. Next. The projects that is in pipeline, which we are doing right now, this is, as I've said, that this is not something as a successful stories. We are continuously, we are doing things. For example, we had done campaign on carry your own cups. So we keep on checking in the classes whether people are bringing their cups or not. So because change in behavior takes a lot of time, this is what I have realized, and students also agree with me in that manner. So what we are doing, taking, as I said, that we have divided our goals into short term and long term. So this in a few months, what we will do, we will introduce concept of full plate and half plate in our canteen, in cafeteria, so that there is no food wastage, and introduction of salad, fruit, sprout bowls as part of sustainable diets. We are also trying to, because in the past awareness campaign, we have realized that food wastage is not in a cafeteria and other places within the campus, but it is mostly in the hostel mess. So what we are trying to introduce behavioral changes so that we can reduce the food wastage is the hostel mess. So, as I said, that even I feel that food should not go to the dustbin from the plate. We will do some awareness program, as well as we'll conduct surveys to look into what are the basic issues that we can solve and how we can solve it. And also we are doing right now a request campaign, requesting our faculty members, mentors, request is from students again to take submissions of digital assignment instead of hard copy in a paper, so that we can reduce the material consumption in terms of a paper. So we are doing this digital assignment submission intensively, and many teachers have agreed. They personally have written to me and shared things that they are part of this campaign, and I'm very happy with this. Another thing which we are doing, we have conducted awareness campaign and assessment of food wastage and food diets in our Miranda House campus. Now we are spreading, we are going out of the campus into North Campus, University of Delhi, covering all the colleges of University of Delhi by mapping food resource flow and through GIS techniques. And again, what we have done in Miranda House, replica of that questionnaire and awareness campaign, talking to the people and looking into what kind of food type of food is there in the canteen and how much food wastage. If we are, I think if we are able to do it in a proper way, we will be able to quantify things that is happening in terms of food wastage in the North Campus. As we realize that in our campus, if we count into vermicompost post, we don't have food wastage as such in Miranda campus. So we are looking all these options in North Campus also. So I say that in the end, I'll just give all the credit to the students of Miranda who understand their responsibility towards environment. This assessment of our awareness campaign proved that they are not only aware, but also ready to nudge their behavior as part of green actions in the campus and beyond. This is important. And I feel that Miranda community has proved that sustainable is attainable. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Poonam. I think this is definitely remarkable what you have achieved, especially given the challenges associated with COVID-19 when this whole thing was launched. Even those little baby steps in terms of switching to from paper cup to earthen pots, which are there in the canteen, and even going zero waste and many little initiatives in terms of digital assignments. I think all these baby steps do matter a lot. And kudos to you for nudging your students to do this. I have shared the video of Miranda House in the chat box, and I will request everybody to please take out time after the webinar to watch the video there. There are a few questions for you, Professor Poonam, but we may come back to them later. You may check out those questions in the chat box, and if you would like to respond to them, because they are more in terms of, you know, who were the survey participants and what was the duration of the survey. So if you would like to respond to them in the chat box, you may please do that.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you once again. Thank you very much. We'll now move on. And I will now like to invite Professor Kalpana Gil, who's from Sri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce. And Professor Gil holds a PhD degree in international business from Department of Commerce, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. She has more than 30 years of teaching experience, and she has a lot of, again, you know, awards and papers and conferences to her credit. I will be sharing her profile also in the chat box, but she has again been working tirelessly to implement the green nudges in her college. So over to you, Professor Kalpana. Thank you very much for taking out time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you, Fazia. Thank you, Dr. Poonam and Naomi and all of those who have joined us here. So I think we are also doing quite similar work after joining, LBGN community. And I would like to express my gratitude to Gayatri Raghavati, because she introduced me to this type of green nudges. So we've prepared a very, wait a second, I just need to. Japanjot, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Please present the PPT, please.
Ma'am, it will take me a minute. So if you can just allow me with a minute. Yeah.
I don't know what has happened.
Not a problem, ma'am. You can continue to tell us your story. No?
Yeah. By the time she joins me, actually, you know what? We started doing it later 2020. when we started with this, the entire story, we said, okay, we were already having, some solar panels, and if I show you the pictures, our campus is very green. We were already doing it, a lot of things on environmental planning, and we do have one course, where we teach environmental science to our students, and the teacher is there, and then she was also suggesting us as to how we can do forward and how can we move forward. So we were doing little bit things here and there, but when actually we started with LBGN, so we decided that let's actually do a survey and understand what is the perception of the students about the sustainability. What is it that they feel as to what is their lifestyle, what is it that they eat, what is it that they wear, how do they commute, and what is their, in general, what do they think about sustainability. So we framed a questionnaire, and we floated the questionnaire. Actually, we had 4 teams to go with us, and there were about 400 to 500 students, those who joined us in this campaign. We just floated this kind of an idea, that we are doing this. And then when we floated this idea, so I was really amazed to see that the number of students, those who joined us from different societies. So we have at least 30 societies in the college, and they're all some small societies, but the major societies, they just joined us in this initiative. So just move next pe chalo. So we just started with this, and we framed the questionnaire, and we understood that they need a lot of little bit suggestion, because this is again a little bit of green nudges, and then little behavioral changes are needed. What we initially thought, that we will create the team. As I told you, that there were about 500 students. We created the team, then we did a pilot survey. Now this pilot survey, when we designed the questionnaire, so we need that, they need some kind of an orientation to change their behavior. So we said, okay, we'll go with this. Then the next thing that came was that we really have to launch an awareness campaign to them. So we did that awareness campaign, and then we organized series of webinars. And then, this is the plan of action, as you're seeing it on the screen, that we did a lot of online competitions. And then, while we're doing the online competitions now, then actually this was a period of lockdown, and we thought that, we are doing so many things, but then practically, unless the colleges reopen, we cannot introduce the nudges in the campus. All right, digital training, digital awareness is much needed, but then you actually really have to do it when the students return to the campus. But unfortunately, the students did not return to the campus until 17th of February this year. So this is how we have been doing this. We have created some teams, and then you see that we created a team on to reduce the waste, then on the food, then energy, and then there was a team of mobility. All these teams were created, and then just move, Jaban, please move next. Move next. Yes. So while we were designing this online campaign, so internally, you really have to communicate. So sometimes the faculty members are not so aware. They do things on their own, but I think much is needed while you want to create a very focused awareness in them, that yes, this is what is needed and this is how it has to be done. So, while we wanted to communicate, then we took the help of the college website. Then we do have a college mobile application. So we were running the mobile application, and in that mobile application, we were, spreading some kind of an awareness. Then we had this college WhatsApp group, and externally also, we decided that we'll be creating an awareness through Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages of our college and elsewhere. So we did this online campaign. As you can see that, we created these posters, and these posters were created by our student teams. So as you can see, this is reduced waste. Then we asked them to create some, did you know? So did you know is something that create an interest in your mind. The students start thinking that this is whether I know or whether I don't know. So you start looking for a question, and you start looking for an answer. So, these type of did you knows we introduced, and this was regarding the waste. Then we also came up with food nudges. So food nudges, again, that as Professor Poonam has also said that, there is a lot of food wastage goes in the canteen and also in, in the hostel. So food nudges, again, we wanted to do it, but we wanted to tell them, what they need to eat. So if you really tell students, if you ask students as to what is it that you like to eat, so for the sake of saying, they will see that, okay, we like to have salad, we like to have, some fruits, but the reality is not so. You will often spot the students eating in the canteen, and maybe they're having pasta, maybe they're having burgers and junk food and all that. But then, we really have to train them. We really have to tell them, teach them, orient them to, take up this habit, to be truthful, and they should also know, what is good for their health. So please move to the next. So, you see this food nudges, these posters were created, and then please next. Then third nudge was on the water and energy. So again, there was, it was just that while you are in the classroom, that you need to switch on the, switch off the fans and, the lights, and when they are not needed. So we thought that when the students return, we are going to, tell them, and we'll be very specific in telling them that what should be their response as to how they do the things, right? So please move next. So mobility is something our students came up with a very good idea that they want to make an application for, carpooling and car sharing. But then it is still I think it is still in the process, and we have not been able to, target this particular nudge, which is on the mobility. Please, next. So as I showed you, this is the action plan that we have been able to do this over a period of time. Please, next. So, in the after we did this awareness campaign, then we had launched a webinar series. So the first webinar we had on June 5th, which is the World Environment Day. And this was on empowering youth for sustainable consumption, production, and ecosystem. And this we held with in collaboration with Switch Asia. So this was the first series of webinar. Then the second series was on 16th of July. And, again, it was on empowering youth for ecosystem protection. So in this also Mary Nishimura, she joined us online in the, in this particular webinar. Then the next thing that we did, we wanted to do was that we wanted to do some innovative events for the students. And this time, we were not only targeting the college students, but also the campuses, the school campuses, which are near our, the campus. So, we invited students, and students are very much enthusiastic about whole thing. So we decided that we will be launching 4 events: poster making, slogan writing, animated video, and lastly one more. So, the topics you could see, we chose 4 topics for them: cycling our way into a better future, thinking renewable, accept sustainability, jump to healthy eating, So students, when we organize these events, so the poster making competition, I will quickly take you to the results of the poster making. Japanese, please take me to that slide where I would show the audience the kind of posters they made. Please take me there. Yeah, you can see this. Now, these are such beautiful and colorful posters. And some of the posters are made by even class 5 students. So I think that is really a very, very imaginative idea in the mind as to what do they think about environment and how is that they want to protect it. Because we had given them, the 4 topics, and out of the 4 topics that they made this beautiful posters. And I think that while we are interacting, we want to include, we want to reach out to more and more people, then how can we leave our school students behind? So that was the idea, and there were about 24 to 25 institutions joined us, in this kind of an activity. So this is the first activity that I'm showing you is the poster making. Please, then they came up with the slogan writing competition. So slogan writing, if I show you, they had written very beautiful slogans. So and they have written in their hand, in their own handwriting, and you can just read, the care for environment just like you care. And let's read all of them, and then you will see that what is their thinking. how passionate they are, to save the environment. So this is about their slogan writing. Then we move to the next competition, which is an animated video making competition. It was really, really very amazing. We had set some rules that this is not going to be a little longer, but then they stick to it and they made beautiful, the videos. Please move next. Then this was another, last event was policy making competition. So, okay, then, all right. So now I'm coming to, what other initiatives we have taken besides all this. So
I think we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So
I'll take 2 minutes. Fazia, I'll just take 2 minutes. Please move next. Move next, please. Additional initiatives. Now you see, this is the plantation drive, which we did it online. So everybody was told, all the faculty members you can see there. And then this is a online workshop for herbal colors. Move next. So these are the recent initiatives after the colleges have reopened. This is the waste management, segregation bins, and this is upcycle from plastic waste. And this is the team which has been collecting this. And then next, move. So on the International Women's Day, some goodies were given to them. They were all handmade, the paper bags. So we had the 6th Biennial International Conference, and this was completely, hybrid mode, but move next, please. Please, next. So we gifted, everything which was recyclable. Now you can see that there's a coffee mug. So this coffee mug is something that we had given to the faculty. So they're supposed to be bringing it every day and not that buying it anything from the canteen. So, you can just refill with whatever tea or coffee. Okay, move next, please. Please, next. So this is just a week back that we wanted to sensitize, our canteen. So flashcards in the canteen, then, small portions for food, which they're already doing. And we've already asked the canteen owner to give us, the salads and the rice flake chart and the yogurt and the smoothies, right? So please, next. So this is the appraisal of the campus sustainability efforts. Now there was a team that came from sustainability appraisal by the representatives, Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education. They came and visited the campus. So this is, I think, one of the last slide. So we also ran the workshop on the Swachh campus initiatives. So students are being participating in that. So I think, Fazia, I was very, very quick. I know,
I can see that excitement.
And the worst part that I couldn't operate my own, the PPT. So I had to rely.
That's perfect. I think we have already seen a lot of things that you are doing on your campus. Very motivating, very motivating. I don't want to summarize everything that you are doing, but definitely I would say that each one of those little things that you have suggested through your presentation, they're all very important. If you can share your presentation with me, then I can pass it on to the participants so that they can benefit. They can benefit a few things which you could just cover you just flip through the slides. Maybe I can ask them to go through them in detail. So it'll be great if you can share your presentation with me. Thank you very much. With that, I will move on to a small discussion, and I would like to invite three practitioners. I would say they have been a major catalyst of change for the campuses across India from 3 different organizations. So the first one is Ms. Madhvi Joshi, who is the Senior Program Director, Center for Environment Education. Our second speaker is Ms. Amreen Khan, who is Manager WWF. And our third panelist is Ms. Aarti. She is the Program Officer at Wipro Foundation. Thank you very much for taking out time. I would request, that's lovely. So Piyush, if you can spotlight everybody and not me alone, so you can just keep adding people, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. So we will move on. I know that all of you have been in your own way working towards creating towards several initiatives on campuses, different programs each of these institutions are running. So I'll first go to Madhavi, and I will request her that how important you think that teaching is good. We do a lot of teaching. We do have sports activities, co-curricular activities, but how important do you think are activities related to behavioral change important on campuses? Very briefly, I would like to ask all the three panelists, first to Madhavi and then to Aarti and Ambreen. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Fauzia, and thank you, Gayatri, for this opportunity to engage. And it has been an inspiring hour since we've been hearing what the other university and colleges have been telling us. I think the main thing is the importance to behavioral change cannot be undermined. It is, I think, when we're talking about sustainability, it needs a systems thinking approach, and it's not just the management in the universities, but also the students and everybody else who's part of that university needs to bring about a change. Also, this change, it's a process. So when it's iterative, it's a process. And as we saw in the earlier two presentations, also one makes mistakes, one learns, and you continue with that process to reach a larger goal. So I think that that's a very important aspect of having activities which support behavioral change. Also involving students as leading that change is important, because then there is an ownership of the change that happens. So it is not a top-down approach, but it is a participatory way in which students get involved in bringing about a change on their campus. One other thing I felt it's important when you're talking about behavior change is also unlearning certain learned behaviors. And that's something I thought I should talk about also, because I think a lot of us have, developed habits which probably we need to kind of change. And I think that's an important aspect of, the way we engage in our university, especially focusing, if you want behavioral change, then we need to unlearn a lot of things as well as learn new things. So I think that's where I'll stop.
Thank you, Madhavi. I would invite Aarti. Aarti, do you feel the importance of behavioral change in campuses? Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Fauzia. And firstly, thanks for having me here. It's a wonderful initiative, and glad to see all the great initiatives that the two colleges have been adopting so far. And as for your question, I think I'm just going to basically echo what Madhavi has just said, where I think as a program, the Wipro, as a program in colleges, the Wipro program has tried to bring about operational influence and support operational changes within the universities, curricular interventions, but it definitely needs to be complemented with engagement with youth. And it is important that they're aware of what is at stake, and also their roles as individuals who can then choose these alternative lifestyles and alternative habits. And as Madhavi rightfully put it, it requires a lot of unlearning, because of course interventions at a very early stage in schools is also important, but we've seen that it doesn't happen as much as we'd like it to. So then bringing that to the youth in colleges is very important. And I've also had this, thing in my mind that top-down approaches work, but bottoms-up approach with the youth is very much necessary and needed in this scenario. It is very effective, and it has the potential to influence change on a large scale, and the impact is much can be seen long-term as well. And which is why these nudges are then essential. And of course, there are various avenues that we can use to bring these nudges to the youth. We've already seen the use of social media as an example that has been cited by Professor Gil. It's great, but of course, it might end up becoming something that's easy to achieve, which is why these, activity-based programs in colleges for the youth is much more effective. And as Professor Gill and Poonam have highlighted so far, it actually makes a difference. So I think getting them to get their hands dirty and involve them in, all these multiple practices that we can introduce to them is very important. And then hopefully they take it outside, and these students then become evangelists of sustainability and sustainable practices within their community. So yes, that's my
Thank you, Aarti. I think very good points emerging. I think I'm just making note of everything. So to summarize it at the end, but over to you, Ambreen. What are your thoughts when it comes to behavioral change on campuses? Huh?
Yeah, so like we have a lot of teachers and professors sitting in this. First of all, thank you so much. I missed that, but a lot of professors are sitting here, and everybody is aware of the fact. During the college years, you just hunt for opportunities outside campuses. And then they have a lot of interest in volunteering as well. So I'll talk about one of our programs that offers such opportunities to youth. So we offer volunteering from range of activities where we engage college students in conducting bird census or conducting a wetland monitoring survey, or even, raising awareness about critical ecosystems like mangroves, or talking about lesser known species. So the entire purpose of doing such initiatives and engagement with colleges is that we want to provide knowledge, we want to provide exposure and connect students with the nature. So, this is how we are targeting behavior insights to instill pro-environment behavior in students and develop environment, interest in the environment conservation area. So these are some of our ways. And what we have noticed, if you provide exposure to youth, it definitely, instill a behavior in them, which will go in a long run and support them in making conscious decisions.
Yeah, thank you, Ambreen, very much. On this, I would also like, Ambreen, since you're already unmuted, to reflect upon the little book of green nudges, which UNEP has. I'm sure you must have got a chance to glance through that book. So how do you find those 40 nudges that are there? Do you think they would be an effective way to bring about changes on campuses?
So here I would like to thank you for that question, Fawzia. Here I would like to highlight one of my experience again. So I have been working very closely with college students primarily. And what I have observed is it's very important to target youth behavior, sure. But before we work towards that particular matter, targeting youth behavior, it's important to understand what influences their behavior, how do they work, what do they want to do, and who do they listen to. So we have observed it quite closely that when youth are given freedom to decide and lead, the results are beyond imagination. So through one of our program, we provide them an annual theme, and we give them the freedom to ideate, innovate, and test their ideas. We have seen youth with zero interest coming up with such innovative ideas, leading teams, creating impact, and getting transformed along the way. So if we talk about the this particular book of little book of green nudges, all I have to say is, sometimes it and you have the desire to do it, but all you need is a little nudge. Universities have the largest number of captive audience, the most productive ones. And as I said, young people look for opportunities outside campuses. So what can be better than taking such an amazing opportunity back to them and bridge this gap? So that, they do not have to look outside the campus for such sustainability initiatives or, working towards environment conservation. So introduce these green nudges and involve them in the process to innovate and create their own nudges. That's the message I would like to give to all the professors who are sitting here. Whenever you plan your annual events, whenever engage students in creating their own nudges, apart from what's already there in this, like the nudges that's already there in the book. If you want to further develop the interest, involve them in the process of creating new nudges, and then along the way, just introduce what's there already in the book. It'll definitely interest a lot of you to pick it up and, successfully implementing in your campus.
Yeah, thank you, Amreen. I think,
question.
that's a great point. I think, involving them is very important. If you really want them to act on it, I think it's important what initially Madhvi also said, that creating a sense of ownership amongst them, they feel that that's something that they are initiating. So that's very, very important. You rightly said that we have almost about 40,000, 40 million students who are there right now on Indian campuses across different states. So they can be definitely great influencers, not within the college itself, but in the community, in the society in which they live. So on that, I will come to Aarti. Aarti, Little Book of Green Nudges. Yes, I would like you to reflect on it a little bit on the nudges, but I would also like you to throw some light on that's okay. These nudges are being implemented in colleges, but how do we ensure that they carry outside to the environment as well, and it doesn't just remain limited to those few years that they spent in colleges? Like, basically, I mean, how it becomes a way of life for them.
Yeah, I think all of us here know that's the biggest challenge that we face in terms of the programs that we run and how we're trying to reach to them and communicate the message of sustainability and to get them to adopt sustainable practices. But I think the way we communicate with the youth is very important, considering the nature of current affairs and the increasing, doomsday messaging that we have surrounding our environment and the loss of biodiversity and climate change itself. I think it's easy for youth to just probably give up and feel like their efforts do not matter. And I think this, of course, is far from the truth, as we all know. And this is something that needs to be communicated to them positively and effectively. And I think we need to define the problems in such a way as to most effectively address these issues and help them to address these issues and connect to their behavioral behaviors and then bring about those behavioral changes. And of course, I think one other important thing is to make it very contextual. To help them see around their own campuses or areas or the localities that they live in, the city that they live in, and see what issues are there, and then try and help them think about them and in ways that they can think about positive solutions and how they can help bring about these changes. And I think we need to present an image of a future that is inviting, and it also encourages, positive action towards it. And of course, I think sorry.
No, absolutely, Aarti. I think you've hit the nail. I do see a lot of youth on social media, very active, taking initiatives. Some of us learn from them. We are part of their groups and we learn from them. So they are definitely leading the change. And I always say that youth, perhaps, they are the last flicker of hope for us. So yes, definitely, I do see them getting involved. Thank you so much. Madhvi, a very tough question for you now. Huh? Okay. So you have been into environment education for a very, very long time. There was a question that was put up to me. So nudges, we all know, are brilliant. I'm sure you would also actually agree with me on the nudges part of it. And everything that all of us are doing, all of us are in the field of environment. A grade 9 student who was working on the environmental issues, he asked me once this question that, ma'am, when we were in grade 7th, every student was very, very enthusiastic about environment and, working towards sustainability. But as we grow and move to 9th, 10th and college, our priorities change. The world outside, there is so much of competition outside. We have to get into a good job, and that's the pressure that we have on us. Even for that matter, the personal good. So this is like the social or the environmental good. And then there's something like a personal good. So the personal good takes precedence over the social and the environmental good. Human beings start getting selfish that I should perform well in curricular in my academics because that's something that's going to get me a good job. So even today, if you look at, whether we talk of ESG in corporates and other things, but ultimately the academic scores and the performance in the interview would matter more than volunteering anywhere or doing a large number of good things outside. How do you think that college curriculum should be. We have the new education policy. I'm sure you would have seen that new education policy that puts a lot of emphasis on environment. How do you think these nudges, these green behaviors become not a tertiary activity, but part of the curriculum itself, where students get graded and get jobs out of that? Ultimately, what is their objective in life?
Thank you, Fozia, for that question. It indeed is something that is very challenging, and all of us are like trying to figure out how do we make it very, very relevant. What I could do is share an example from what we tried to do through the SDG Handprint Lab. It's a program we are working with in a few colleges, and basically the way we are looking at it is it's like it's not an add-on. As you rightly say, it has to get connected to the curriculum. So we are working with engineering students. We are working with students who are doing management. So these are typically not really inclined towards working on environmental issues. And this one looks at how does an engineer look at making decisions which are sustainable. So the whole context is understanding the sustainability context of their disciplines. And so it becomes a multidisciplinary and an interdisciplinary methodology. So our take has been that when we talk about SDG Handprint Lab, we try and get different disciplines as part of that entire group. And it has been accepted by some of the colleges we're working with. And I think that is where the way to go, make it, I think even the National Education Policy talks about, interdisciplinary and integration of, so it's not just about integrating concepts. It's about integrating the way, it's integrating the vision or the way you teach or learn something, and making those connections. That's why when I said initially, when I talked about behavior change, also I talked about systems thinking as an important aspect of learning, how to make those linkages. And that's something what environmental education is about and should go towards. And that's how our curriculum needs to also figure out a way in which we don't make it as a separate subject, but use it in a way to actually inform all the other subjects. And that is where I think probably we might have to, our green nudges would be that towards the curriculum, that how do we make that happen as part of the way the curriculums get designed at the higher education level. So that would be my take. And yeah, so thank you for this. And it's something that we should work on together. Yeah.
I think, institutes like ours, all of us who are present here, probably, and along with the faculty members and the professors who have joined us and students from across university. So I think there is somebody sharing the screen. Can we stop? Can we stop sharing the screen? Yeah, please. Yeah. So sorry. So what I was trying to say, that it's important that we not only work with institutions on that's good to work with institutions, but also work with the regulatory bodies, with the policy makers, to ensure that what we are talking today gets integrated into our curriculum. So that's very important. I think one last question to all the three lovely panelists which we have, and you're doing a great job. I know that. Any one activity that you would like to share with us that you are doing that you think could bring about behavioral change on campuses?
You want me to start that?
Yeah, please. Huh?
Yeah. So I already talked about the SDG Handprint Lab, which is basically looking at engaging students in understanding what SDGs are, and doing research focused on that particular target in a selected geographical area. So this takes them out of the campus. The other example I would like to also share is the Handprint Campus Challenge that we had been working on, that was supported also by the UNEP Asia Pacific just a few years ago. And basically it was to get students to take up a challenge in some of the areas like water, biodiversity, energy, waste management, and so on. And we've had excellent examples from there where students have not just taken up these projects as part of the challenge, but even today, some of these universities continue with not just those projects, but they have gone into the faculty, taking it up as something that they would like to do in terms of sustainability. So say a biodiversity or a butterfly park has gone into a waste management initiative on the campus, and then it has gone into an energy audit and energy saving kind of inputs that the faculty has got into. So I think that's a way, that's something that I feel is a very interesting way in which both students and the faculty have got involved. So these are the two examples. The SDG Handprint Lab takes you out of the campus and work with the community and learn. So that becomes a learning lab. And the second thing is the university itself is a learning lab where you are actually trying to bring about changes. So these are the two different ways in which we have involved.
Yeah, thank you. I think I wish we could just go on and on. I know you people are doing an amazing job with universities. Thank you very much, Madhavi. I think I'll move to Aarti. Aarti, would you like to share something around behavioral change that you are doing with the campuses?
Sure, Fazia. As you already know, the Earthian program, has been working both with schools and colleges. And we have two separate sections to, parts of the program. One is the competition for college students, and then one is a continuous engagement program. And here I would like to talk about the continuous engagement program aspects. One is a sustainability internship support program. And of course, this is not within the campus, but this is a really good example of behavioral changes to a certain extent, because we connect students from various colleges across disciplines with a whole host of our partner organizations like WRI, Goodera, C-STEP. And these students are then offered even conservation related organizations like Keystone and water management related organizations like Biome Solutions in Bangalore. So this is a 2-month internship where the stipend is paid out to the students by us, by Wipro Foundation. And then these are mentored by these partner organizations. And bear in mind, some of the students don't even have a background in sustainability, but they're very interested to at least explore this area. And we really like to provide that opportunity to them. Till date, we've had around 113 students who've completed internships with these partner organizations. Then the other program that I would like to, it's not a program, but it's the Wipro Earthian Sustainability Quiz. While it seems like a light touch initiative, it has definitely garnered a lot of interest from students across India and across disciplines. And this is for the college students. And we've had 62 quizzes, around 8,000 teams, and around 12,000 students participating in the quiz for the last 8 years or so. And in fact, the last Wipro Earthian Sustainability Quiz finalist was a medical student. And he was explaining to us how he prepared so much for the quiz that he had around hundreds of pages of notes that he had made, and the learning that he gained from the quiz was an experience like none other. But of course, there's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of planning happening back end to bring richer and deeper engagements within colleges. And hopefully this year we will bring them to colleges across India.
Thank you, Aarti. I think we had the privilege of hosting one of the Earthian quiz at TERI School of Advanced Studies, I think a couple of years ago.
That's right.
So yes, so thank you so much. I think these are all great initiatives. I'll request both Madhavi, Aarti to, if you can just share the link you said about sustainability internship and then the other activities that all of you are doing, if you could put it on the chat box. We do have participants from different colleges across India. They could take it with them, and the students from their colleges could also participate. So that would be very helpful. Thank you very much. Ambreen, over to you. You have been engaged in the Tide Turner project for a very long time and many other projects. Yeah, tell me.
Yes. So we have been doing that program with CE under UNEP. And yes, that's one of the best initiative which has inspired a lot of youth to change their behavior, how they look and use single-use plastics in their life. So brilliant program, and which we continue to do. Other program I would like to highlight here is the ECHO program, which we do specifically with the universities. It's not open to any like to youth who are not engaged in colleges. So we started in 2018 just with 25 colleges, and as on date, we have interest from law colleges, engineering colleges, medical colleges. And what we do is we just provide a theme of the year which is aligned with the sustainable development goals, and we leave it to the youth how they want to do it. They do the ideation, from the ideation to creating an impact. They do the entire job. We provide mentoring in the process, and towards the end we call upon a jury, like panelists from like diverse field who are experts, and they judge their projects. So as I said earlier as well, it's a brilliant opportunity for youth to unfold their potential, to explore, to actually test what they really want to do. So a lot of people, like a lot of youngsters, have picked up careers, and even they have started studying sustainability after registering for this program. So that's all I have to share. And thank you so much, Fawzia, for this opportunity.
I think very, very important to what all of you brought out is the exposure. Sustainability, environment is definitely, renewable energy is definitely not a preferred career choice, even today. So like TERI School of Advanced Studies has been into this. I think we were the first movers in terms of, we started this in 1998, offering courses around sustainability and environment. But even today, we do struggle to get the admissions because these are not the conventional courses that we are offering. So employability, becomes a major issue, and that's exactly what the decision making, when it comes to decision making, people feel that it's not as lucrative. So exposures like this, that actually helps in better decision making, especially towards choosing sustainability as a career. So we do run a school university network program at TERI School of Advanced Studies, where we get school students and teachers to participate. So I've been doing it with the Loreto schools across India for a while now. From 2016, when I did it with the first set of teachers across India, you won't believe there are 12 Loreto schools who already have solar on their rooftop. So they shared with me that they've already converted 12. Delhi Loreto School said that they were initially paying their bills, like electricity bills, to the tune of 1.5 lakhs per month. And now that has come down to only 35,000 per month because they switched to renewables. So people, I think we can all act in our own way. We need to even synergize, come together and work also on a common platform. Also, we need to look at that here there's a different kind of gender mainstreaming that we need to do. So I see the sustainability and environment space more women-centric, more girls come and take up that as a career. So how can we make it equally attractive for males to come and take up that as a career too? So thank you very much. I think this was a brilliant discussion. We will move on to Q&A, maybe another 10 minutes of your time. I will take for the Q&A in case anybody wants to unmute and ask a question. There are a few questions already for Poonam ma'am. Poonam ma'am, would you like to respond now to those questions? The questions were around the research that you conducted and what was the population. Yeah, the other speakers also, if you can switch on your videos, it will be wonderful.
I have already given response to
great.
Chat box. If you want, I can repeat it.
Yeah, ma'am, if you could, it would be great. And others, if you have questions, please come up with that.
Basically, my question was regarding the research work we have done. So we have done this survey in 3 months. In that, we try to contact under the awareness program. We try to contact around 3,000 students in the campus, and through Google Form we got response from around 1,700 students. So not everybody has responded back to us in filling the Google Forms, despite our continuous request and telling them that this is part, because what I have done, that I have made this as a part of curriculum, as part of the practical paper of disaster management. So under disaster risk reduction, they wrote, they were writing the report on this survey, what taking all the 7 heads as a category. So I divide the whole class into different groups. So somebody was working on food, somebody was water conservation. So that team consisted of 10-12 students each under each group. So everybody was doing their survey. So maybe that was too much of surveys for the students. So they responded to some and they didn't respond. So around 1,700
you
people.
have the outcome of that, the outcome, maybe the survey report, if you could share it in the chat box, or maybe later.
Right. Maybe later. Right now, I don't have it.
It would be very useful to share with others to know that how you went about doing it. So that would be
definitely.
That would be really helpful. Thank you. Any other question, even within the panelists, if you have any question? I think Noemi is here with us, and probably any challenge that you feel in the Little Book of Green Nudges implementation, anything that you would like to ask her regarding that?
Can I come in? I have a comment.
Yes, Gayatri ma'am, please.
Yeah, one of my comment is, yes, there are 40 nudges in the Little Book of Green Nudges. They're all great. And we all talked about the importance of behavior. At the end of the day, sustainability is a journey. It's a change of mindset. It is not just, changing an infrastructure, putting on more solar panels, or doing what we operational management or whatever it is, so that operationally we are green. But it's all about thinking, right? It's all about developing that paradigm or the thinking in your mind. Having said that, it gets one of the persons also mentioned, it is very contextualized, because if you take up a nudge, I mean, when we talk about a nudge, very often when I approach colleges for joining with a Little Book of Green Nudges, they'll say, but there is food nudges, there is that's it, but we don't eat, like, in the West, in other areas, there is this huge thing about do away with meat, introduce, a kind of a vegetarian diet, more of vegetarian diet. But in India, most of the colleges have only the vegetarian diet. So there are certain nudges that are very peculiar to certain contexts in certain countries where it is needed more. And in India, we have other nudges. So I think it will be great. There are so many youth here. There's so many campuses. If you could all go through the book and look at, can we have some very India-specific nudges that we can take? We all know the campuses here. We all know the colleges here. Can we have some very India-specific nudges? It will be great. You can only tell me when you go through the 40 nudges and look at what else can we have here in India, which will make a lot of meaning to most of the colleges, not just the elite, private, high colleges, the ones who have a lot of money, but generally all colleges. Thank you, Fazia.
I think that's a great comment, Gayatri ma'am. In fact, we do have a lot of private colleges which are there, and probably decision making and implementation of anything becomes easier for them. But the government colleges, they have a different set of challenges altogether. So there, it is definitely very challenging to even take a decision to install anything or to bring about change. So that's why I think change at the policy level becomes very important. So when it comes from a regulatory body like UGC or AICTE, it trickles down much faster because there is a willingness or intent from the management, and there is a commitment from the principal or the management at the college and the school level to adhere to whatever has been there in the regulation. So that works sometimes, much more that is there. The other thing that probably anybody can respond to this question that I have, probably the last one, we can keep it because we already passed the time, is in most colleges, like we have Dr. Poonam, we have Dr. Kaval, who has joined us today, there are sustainability champions. So we will find 1 or 2 people And because the others, they are getting paid the same amount, whether you work for sustainability, whether you don't work, there's no reward per se, So it is more like an individual passion out of which people work rather than that any reward, which is the right thing to do. I think it should be that way only, that you work because of your own passion. But it sort of becomes actually an overburden on just a few. And likewise from the student side also, even when I'm talking about TERI School of Advanced Studies, there could be just maybe a few, maybe 5% of the students, or maybe 2% of the students who are actually working on this and not the rest. How do we really, again, make sustainability? I think I'll put this to Noemi first, because she is working towards implementation. Noemi, how do we really make it like a way of life for everyone and not just those little few? And we keep presenting them. So we try to showcase it as a college initiative, but actually it's an individual initiative or a small groups initiative.
Thank you, Fawzia. That's a very good question indeed. I think social media is a way, but one should be careful of how it's spread on social media. But I think it's a way of also, as you say, like highlighting some very good initiative and inspiring others so that they join the movement. I think also like awards is a way to having more inspiring actions taken by a broad community. I think the tight turn programs, we didn't develop it much, has been also showing how the impact can be spread out by having different grades given to like rewards, like badges that are given like gradually to people that are committing to the nudges. Because one of the challenges we've had with the Little Book of Green Nudges is to know, as you've been saying that problem, how many people are actually involved in the nudge that is implemented in the university. Is it only the rectors, the administrators? Is it really embracing all the students? Is it easy for the students to implement and also bring it back home or bring it in the companies later? So there's always this fine line of choosing a nudge that is easy to replicate and also really impactful on the mind of the people. So I don't have the bright and a good like key answer on this, but I think it's ways to bring in more and more people. India, as I mentioned earlier, has already been like many universities have participated in the webinars, have been doing great jobs through campaigns, events as well, to bring in the maximum of people. So I think like pinpointing these initiatives, sharing them, the best practices, and inspiring others, will lead to a bigger movement around this as well.
Thank you so much, Noemi. I think you're absolutely right. So probably, people have to start like you like air, water, home, sustainability. It should really become one of those, mandatory requirements, celebrating sustainability and not considering it as a burden. So right now we think that, oh, this is an added burden that has come to us. So probably how can we really start celebrating sustainability becomes very, very important. So thank you everyone for joining. I will now like to invite Ms. Gayatri Raghava, who is a consultant at UNEP and has been super supportive in all these initiatives across campuses, to deliver the word of thanks.
I think I'm so full of whatever that you guys have been talking. Thank you very, very much. Fawzia, thanks a ton. First to you and your team for putting this all together. It was really, really good. And Madhavi, Ambreen, and Aarti, you really raised some food for thought today. They were all talking about food nudges, but you've raised some food for thought today. Really, your panel discussion was amazing. And Poonam and Professor Gil, as always, I'm never disappointed by whatever you people present. I mean, every time you outdo yourself, every time you show me a new thing that you have done, which I didn't know of before. So really thankful to all of you for joining us in the last minute. But last but not the least, all the participants, I now see so many names from different parts of the world. And thank you so much for attending. Please, all of you, we all can only move together. As we say, it's not about one person doing it, but it's all of us being together in it. So I would thank you to all of you for participating in this session. And I hope you continue to talk to each other. You continue to converse with each other, because only that can lead us towards a better tomorrow. And thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gayatri ma'am. Thanks for the amazing session. Thank you everyone for joining. Actually, Dr. Gil is unable to switch on her video and I am also not able to do it. I requested my IT person.
That's okay, that's okay. But I'm watching.
But many things. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So thank you everyone and have a nice evening. And let us work together towards a better world and better campuses at least. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thanks,
have a nice evening.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for sharing.
Great session. Thank you.